want to take a look back with you all and just sort of revisit my photography journey through 2021, because 2020 pretty much was nothing because of the pandemic. Everything was shut down, didn't get to do much. But this year, finally got to get out and start shooting again, and I really had some success this year, and I was pretty pleased with some of the results that I got. The year started off kind of bad, though, from a photography standpoint. I had a trip planned to go to Yellowstone. I've always wanted to photograph those bison in the snow with the steam coming off of them and all that kind of thing. I had the tour booked, I had the plane ticket, was all set to go, but then a snowstorm hit. So I was a little concerned about making it to the airport. I went the night before, stayed in a hotel right by the airport, but the storm hit and all the flights got canceled. Not the flights to Yellowstone because of snow in Montana, but because of snow in Tennessee. We never get snow like that, and it just happened. So there, I was stuck, couldn't make the flights. No flights got out for 2 or 3 days, and it just didn't happen. So thank goodness for trip insurance. Got a lot of the funds back that I'd spent on that trip, and so now I said, well, Death Valley, this is it. I can't travel internationally. I can't go to my favorite place in the world, Iceland. So I'm going to concentrate on the United States. So Death Valley, snow's not going to be a problem there. Well, the time came for that one, and a little bit of a family emergency came up, and that didn't happen. Don't worry, everybody's fine, nothing major, but again, a photography trip didn't happen. So at this point, I'm trying to take whatever I can get, and southern Utah became the choice. And I'd never really spent any time out west other than some ski trips with the Young Life group when I was a kid. So going to the desert Southwest of the United States was a completely different landscape and a completely different environment from anything that I'd seen up to this point. So I was kind of looking forward to it, but I didn't really know what to expect. So went out to southern Utah, started in Moab, rented a car, and made my way west and dipped down into northern Arizona a little bit and really got some cool images out there. But as the year went on, travel restrictions sort of were relaxed a bit. The vaccine rolled out. The world started to open back up again. And so, of course, I had to make it back up to Iceland. The volcano was erupting, and that's what I wanted to see. I'd never seen an erupting volcano before, so off to Iceland I went. I was able to see the volcano erupting, doing some aerial photography in the airplane once again. But the day I actually went to the volcano, was on the ground, nothing was happening. It was really cool, though, to see the volcano, the lava flow coming out of there, and the brand new Earth was right there, and it was a lot bigger than what I expected. I'd seen a lot of photos on Instagram and on social media, but when I got there and seeing it in person, there was a lot more involved than what I was expecting to see. But I went to some more out of the way places that I haven't visited in Iceland. I revisited or went back to the rivers and photographed them from an airplane, which is always, it's probably one of my favorite photography subjects, because it's always changing. You're never going to get the same thing twice, and so that's always a treat to be able to do that. And then finally, in the fall, I went to East Texas to photograph the cypress swamps, and I didn't know anything about this before this year, and because I really started looking at different and unique photography locations here in the United States, just because it's been challenging to visit the Arctic, which is where I usually like to go. But anyway, they had a tour set up to photograph the cypress swamps at the peak of the fall colors in early November, and that ended up being just a perfect time to go and photograph, to get some beautiful images, because not only are the colors at their peak, but the conditions were excellent. You had this fog in the mornings, the early mornings. It just created this eerie environment that was fabulous to photograph, and it was a great experience. I'm happy to have done it. It was a little repetitive after a bit, and I'll probably check that one off the list. May not go back there again, but I'm so glad that I went there, and I got one of my favorite images of the year came from this particular trip. So here we are at the end of 21. Before we go to 2022, I'm going to review my favorite images from the last year. Now, favorite is always a tough thing. It may not be my best, and it may not be the same today as it is next week. But as of today, after looking back over a year of photography, these images are my favorite Top 10 of 2021. Number 10, I call this one a path in the steam. And this is from an area of Iceland called Kerlingerfell. I'm saying that wrong, I know, but that's the best pronunciation I've got. Now, it comes in at the last spot just because I've been to this location a few times before, but what made this one different is I actually paid attention to some composition and captured those people walking on the path. And I think adding the human element to a landscape gives you a sense of scale and really kind of brings it, just gives you an idea of what it's like to actually be there. And there are people walking all along these paths, and I just think it was great to just, capture these individuals walking along the trail. Also like the little steps in the blue sort of, it's not dirt, I don't know what you call it, but just the land back there. You can see the color and the texture of the steps as the trail goes up higher into the hills. And this is a really great area. As I said, I've been there several times before, but this time I actually ventured a little farther back into the hills, and it's really quite expansive. I thought it was pretty limited, but you can hike around there quite a bit. And I'm glad I spent the time to explore it a little bit more. And this image is my number 10 for 2021. Number 9, the lighthouse. I got into lighthouses for a minute in 2021, and even though I'd been to Iceland before and seen this lighthouse several times, it never occurred to me to take a picture of it. And in this situation, I kind of was channeling the whole symmetry that you might find in a Wes Anderson movie. Maybe it was filmed in Iceland, but to me, just having this this beautiful lighthouse right there with the orange and white colors, just right in the center of the photo. It's usually not something you would do, but I don't know, from a composition standpoint, it made sense to me. And another one of these things is I started to try to lay down on the grass and get little bits of the vegetation in the foreground of these images. They're kind of blurred out, of course, but I thought it was kind of cool. Just the colors and the symmetry of this one are working for me, and it is image number 9 for 2021. Number 8, the Bentonite Hills in southern Utah. And how does this place exist? I mean, look at it. You got these circles and the different colors on each one of the rings as it works down the hills. I'm sure there's a reason behind how this was formed. I don't know what it is, but you're just driving along. I think it was State Route 20 or 24 or something in southern Utah between Hanksville and Torrey. And you can literally see these things on either side of the road. You just pull off, put your drone in the sky, fly it up, point it straight down, and it's just crazy. It's like an abstract painting. And I think in this one it's kind of interesting because you can see those small little black dots in there, and that's the group that I was with. So it's just a massive landscape of it just looks like somebody came out with a paintbrush and started painting these hills, but it's land, and I don't know what it's made of, but it's freaking cool. And if you ever go to southern Utah, take your drone because you're gonna get shots like this. Number 7, the reflective swamp. This is the cypress trees, or these are cypress trees from the swamps in East Texas that I was telling you about. And I really like this one because it's pretty simple. There's so many of those trees in the swamp that it's easy to just have so much going on in an image that you don't know what to focus on. And I just like that we've got one simple tree here, the water's still, you get a great mirror reflection, and again, you've got the colors in there. One tree, one reflection, colors, simplicity in these swamps. It's a great image. One of my favorites from 2021. Number 6, the lone tree. When I look at this image, I think of Jeff Goldblum in Jurassic Park when his character said life finds a way. Well, and that's what's happened here. Here you have this tree growing up out of the desert, surrounded by just all this sandstone rock in an area where you would think that trees like this don't grow, but it does. Life found a way here. And this particular composition I think is great because you've got the slope of the rocks coming down. You've got the reflection in the water. And again, kind of like the lighthouse, you got this one solitary subject of the photo right there in the center. And this one is a bit tough for me because it was late night. I mean, late. And when you're shooting landscape photography, you stay up, to shoot the sunset. You get up early in the morning for the sunrise. Well, this was done late at night. We were trying to get some stars, trying to get the moon, but despite being out in the middle of nowhere where the skies are really, really dark, the moon was pretty bright. It was not quite full, but it was waxing, waning, whichever, it was getting smaller, and it was still pretty bright, so it wasn't the best. I love this image, but I am not a night photography guy, I found out here. So all you people that shoot the Milky Way and that shoot stars and shoot, galaxies and all that stuff, my hat is off to you, because I can't stay up that late and still try to be functional the next day. Quite honestly, I spent about 45 minutes to an hour out there at about 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, and I only took about 6 pictures, and this is one of them. And I love it. This one's printed. It's hanging on the wall. The Lone Tree, number 6 for 2021. Number 5 is Factory Butte, and this is, again, southern Utah. And this is, again, right on the main roads there. It's easy to access. Well, it's easy to see, but once you turn off the paved road, it's a bit of a bumpy drive to get out there. And it's a couple, 3 miles maybe off the main road. But it's just this gigantic butte, this huge formation in the middle of just the Badlands. You've got this just flat area for miles and miles and miles, and then this massive butte just rises up out there, and it's all on its own, out just in seemingly like an open plain of just nothing. This was great though, because the conditions were perfect. There was a storm rolling in, and off to the left of where this image was taken, the clouds were coming in, and you were seeing cloud-to-cloud lightning and cloud-to-ground lightning. It was just this big storm was coming in, and sheets of rain, and all this was coming down. And you know me, I love stormy weather. I think it makes for better photographs. So we definitely had gray, dark, gloomy, moody skies. But the problem is that far away from the road, and as hard as that downpour is coming, once the rain started, that road condition could deteriorate very quickly and get very muddy, and it would have been very easy to get stuck out there. Now, fortunately, that did not happen. Got the great stormy conditions, got out safely. Beautiful location, Factory Butte in southern Utah, number 5 for 2021. Number 4. The rivers in Iceland. As I said before, this is probably my favorite thing to photograph. They're so beautiful, they're so colorful, they look like ink running through the landscape, and as the water goes from the melting glaciers to the ocean, it picks up sediment along the way, and it deposits it as the flow of the river picks up and slows down, and you get these little islands of brightly colored sediment, and then the water is just blue colored. It looks like paint flowing through the landscape. Absolutely beautiful. Every time you go there, you're gonna see something different. And this particular spot was a very just isolated small spot of, I think that's orange silt or mud with the blue water running through there. So the river that it was just adjacent to was huge and wide, but this was just a small area. So we're in this Cessna plane just circling over and over and over to just try to get these perfect compositions. And I think this one is just absolutely beautiful. The blue and the orange colors complement each other so well. And it's real. It's hard for people to believe that this kind of thing exists. But this is what it looks like when you stick your head out the window of a plane and take these photos. I can't wait to go back and photograph these rivers again, because every time you get something new and something different. Number 3, Middle Earth Campground is what I'm calling this one. This rock formation is so cool. It looks straight out of Lord of the Rings. It is so amazing. I've seen pictures of it for years, but I finally got to go there this July. This is located at a campground. It is near Vik on the south coast of Iceland, but you drive an hour or so out of Vik, then you turn off the paved road, and that's part of why I love this image. Just the journey to get to it was so cool. It was 4-wheel driving off, it looked like riverbeds and dirt roads. You're just bouncing around and just really, really have to work to get to this place. And after about 2 hours of driving off-road, you finally pull up to this campground, pulled off to the side, and I looked out the window, and it's right there. And I'm just like, it's like you've seen something for years on TV or in photos or whatever, and you finally see it firsthand. It was so beautiful. Photographing it was a bit of a challenge. I had to kind of hunker down in the middle of the river. The river wasn't that deep. It's not a river, it was a stream. But the water wasn't that deep, but I'm basically got my tripod and my boots are on rocks, everything was stable, but if one thing twisted or, I was going to fall over and the camera's going to get wet and everything was going to be bad. But it worked out. It's a beautiful image, and it's one of my favorite from 2021, and it is this year's number 3 shot of the year. All right, we're getting here to the end. Number 2, this is the eye. This image is a geothermal pool in Iceland. The location is called, it looks like Hverdalir. But again, that's not right. It's not even close. So it's kind of in the center of the country. It's a park. You can just pull up there. There's a restaurant. And again, this is one of those places where you got to drive for a long time off the paved road, and getting there is the journey, as I say. Well, that was another one of these 3-hour journeys or so just to get out to this place. The thing I remember most about this trip out to this area were the flies or the midges, whatever they are. These things were awful. I mean, they were bad to the point that I wanted to get in the car just to get away from them. They would fly right at your eyes. I think they thought that they were going to get the moisture out of your eye, and they would crawl in your ears and all this. It was horrible. And everything here was shot by drone. And so I'm trying to fly the drone and take images, and these flies, there were thousands of them. They were just everywhere. And I'm just seeing these super cool photography subjects, and I'm having a blast, but I literally wanted to just put things down and get back in the car because it was terrible. But what's so interesting to me is you could be standing right next to this and you wouldn't even know that there's this, it looks like a hole that just goes down to, who knows what. I mean, I'm curious, how deep does this pool go? And what is that the little opening at the center? Does that go down to something even deeper? Underground? I think it must. It has to, because it's water. It's just boiling, and there's the geothermal heat, and it's all the pools in this area, and there's several of them. They're all just sort of bubbling and boiling like a pot ready to cook pasta or something. It's just incredible. There's also another steam vent. It's like a cone just sticking out of the ground, and steam is just shooting out of this stuff as fast as you can. So, it's a wonder you can walk on the ground there at all, which is why I guess they had these boardwalks that you pretty much have to stay on. You do not want to get off of those. But this area was so cool. I've been there before, never with a drone. This is just such a cool image. It's another one that I've already got printed. The eye from Iceland. It's the number 2 image of 2021. Okay, and here we are at the end. The number 1 image for 2021 is White Pocket in northern Arizona. This place is so awesome. It's like a big swirl of peppermint candy or something. It's like, somebody made a blizzard or something at Dairy Queen with strawberry and vanilla, and you get all this white and red rock mixed together, and it just creates these incredibly cool patterns. And this one I thought was just excellent, because you've got this pattern here in the foreground, and then you sort of get this reverse S that's a leading line going right up to that rock formation where it mixes in a little bit of yellow into it. It's just so unique and interesting. There's so much going on in this image, I think. And off to the right side of the photo, you have this rock. They call it brain rock because it's white and it has these patterns in it, kind of like the fissures in a brain. But geologists have no idea how that's even formed. So it's incredibly interesting. I've not seen anything else like it. I mean, there's the wave is super popular for landscape photography, and it's nearby, and it's very similar to this. But these rock formations in northern Arizona are so unique, so photogenic, looks like an abstract painting, and a lot is going on in there. And this one was great. It had been a long day. In fact, on my activity tracker, I had walked over 13 miles. I was tired, I was beat, but I sat there, set up my tripod, and waited for the lights to get good, and it just got perfect. All it took was about 3 images. This one I focus stacked, coupled together to make everything look in focus, and it's just a great image. It's already blown up huge, and it's on the wall as well, and I just love it. So yeah, that's the number 1 image for 2021. Hope you enjoy these. Let me know in the comments what you think. And again, cheers. Happy 2022. But wait, there's more. I've got to do one more, just one more. It's hard to pick just 10. I mean, my goodness, there was just some great, diverse photography locations. And the last one, the bonus for 2021, is this paddler in the swamps. How cool is this? We're out there in the swamps, got up before the sun came up at 5 o'clock in the morning. You're out there in a boat just searching around to find a place to set up your tripod. We're snapping these photos and everybody's so psyched because you've got the fog. It's a cold morning and the fog is just hovering at the surface of the water. You got these eerie conditions. And then you could just hear off in the distance another boat. And it turns out it was a paddler. And this woman was just paddling her kayak through this just creepy, eerie environment that's just like a maze full of all these cypress trees. And I don't know. And it was just perfect because she looked away. And where's she looking? What's going on here? Is she lost in this maze? Is she lost in this unforgiving and eerie environment? Is she just working her way through despite all the craziness and uncertainty that's going on in here? I mean, that's what I'm seeing in this photo, and it just happened to turn right at the moment where I could snap up a few images with the paddle just in the right position. It wasn't covering her face. It was positioned perfectly. She just was looking off into this maze of cypress trees, and I thought it made a great image. It's my screensaver right now. So I look at this one all day when I'm working on my computer. So I really like this one too. So this is a bonus one for 2021. Hope you enjoyed this. Happy 2022, and I'll see you in the next video.